Last week, the Special Committee on Negotiations with Hooksett met at Calling Middle School, and you have before you a proposal. I'd like to go over that proposal briefly and entertain any questions, as well as any committee members who would like to answer questions.
Just from a clarity point of view, they were told at that meeting that this board would still have to agree to this. This was just they were insistent in getting a pushing off point, and after looking at the numbers, this is what we came up with, and said that we would come back to this board to see if this was something that they wanted to move forward with, and they would go back to their board and see if it was something that they wanted to move forward with. Questions? Committee Member Wibby.
In looking at this, we're talking about 2018 to 2023. So do we have something that we can look at that shows what our expenses are going to be and everything else that when you're going out that far?
That's a good question.
Rather than just a number on a sheet?
Again, I think that the problem with that is that if you read through the 5 points that are here, there was no minimum or maximum for the number of students that we had incorporated, and the capital costs would be $171,000 per year. And Mr. Francis, working on the numbers of 11.2 plus 2%, or actual cost plus 2%, whichever was higher, was something that came before us, and trying to move it forward so that the students in Hooksett in the 8th grade this year had to make a commitment to where they were going to go, and they were very emphatic about trying to get something from us so that they could tell the students that they could participate in the Manchester School District, and they would know what those costs would be.
So how do we know what the costs are going to be?
Well, it's what we don't know, but you're not going to know until you put a budget together. And I don't think we're prepared to do a budget for 2009.
Shouldn't we have a minimum at least that they have to send us? Or?
No.
Oh, we shouldn't?
We certainly can go back to that if that's what the wish of the board is. But again, what this does is whether they send one student or 50 students, they still have to pay the $171,000 in capital costs. On a yearly basis.
Don't they still have to do that now?
They have to send $791,000 for the 5 years that we're in the agreement now. That 171 was the balance of the $881,000 that remained on the capital costs that they owed. Committee Member Dunphy.
I think Committeeman Avard was first. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We'll let you go, and then I'll come over to him.
Okay.
We're not going to miss him.
All right. I went through the minutes repeatedly, And first, I'd like to say that I don't think we should have made an offer of any type to them. I think they're coming from the viewpoint that they're doing us a favor. I think they were very clear about it. And I don't think that the committee was within the realm of authority to make an offer. I believe the way that it was set up was that the committee was going to meet with Hooksett, listen to their offer. That's what we left for directions, and they were coming back to us. Now, I went through the minutes, as I said, and it was said 3 or 4 times that we should walk away from the meeting, and I think we should have walked away. I don't think there was the authority for that.
Where was that said in the minutes? Or who?
What?
Was there
About-
somebody that said that?
About which part?
About walking away from the meeting?
That we should come back to the board before continuing because there was nothing else to talk about.
And as I said when I first started the conversation, that this is
Absolutely.
still something that the board has to vote on. If
Absolutely.
they don't want to move forward with it, then we don't have to move forward.
But I don't think that, I think it makes, at this situation, they need a place to go as well. And I think that they're coming at it from the point of view that they have control over the situation. And I think that they're not doing us a favor. We want their kids. We've said it repeatedly. It's up to them to figure it out. I feel at this point that we're almost, in some way, shape, or form, bending and contorting to meet what they want.
Committee Member Avard.
Thank you, Your Honor. 2 questions. Was there any discussion as to which schools that students would be assigned to, or would it remain as it has been with Summit Central and Summit West?
It would remain the way it's been in the past.
And the second question is, was there any discussion about the actual costs or the additional costs for special education on an individual basis? Or would they all be rolled into the same tuition cost under the same base price regardless of what their needs were?
No, the special education costs would remain the way they are now.
So this is specifically
This is
only
just-
for general education?
Correct.
Thank you.
Committee Member Van Houten.
The 11.2 plus 2%, does that increase by 2% for each of the consecutive years thereafter? In other words, the 11.424 is 2% higher for the next year and so on?
Correct.
And also, I would just like to make the point that I think I see things a little bit differently. We have the commodity, we have the product, and my sense is that I would like us to make the proposal. If I have a product to market, I give you the price, you choose to pay the price or not. I realize we can negotiate from that point onward, but I do think that it is incumbent upon us to set a price that is a reasonable price for the youngsters. I do agree, we want the Hooksett kids here. They've always been an important asset. Our history is important to us, and I think we need to get this taken care of.
Committee Member Beaudry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with what Committeewoman Dunphy stated and also Committeewoman Van Houten. But I look at 35 students that came from Hooksett this year. I believe it was 35 or 37 out of 168. So as I stated several months ago, that seems like the tail's wagging the dog. And that's why I do agree with Committeewoman Van Houten that we should be setting the price. And if they want to come to our school, then they would pay the price. If they don't want to come, then they can find other avenues. But, you know, we seem to, they're the ones that came to us to break the contract. We didn't go to them. I don't know what happened to the original numbers that came out of here. I believe it was $12,000 plus, if I'm not mistaken, it was Pinkerton's rate, whichever was higher. So I don't know how we went from the 12,000 to 11,200. But I did talk with Mr. Francis briefly about, having an actual cost, and I think the number we banted around was 10%. And it should be, it should come with some cost to it. I mean, if they want to have choice, unfortunately, it's going to cost money to have choice. So I don't mind going with the actual plus 10%, and I still have a concern on what the right number would be for that second bullet point, whether it's 11,200 plus 2% or the 12,000 plus the 2%. And that's something that I would be willing to have an open mind to. But the first bullet point, I think we should be charging at least a 10% premium over and above what we're getting, because they've been getting a very good deal in this city for quite some time. And I'll say it again, at West High School, it's $10,000 roughly per student, and they were paying $8,300. So as far as I'm concerned, Manchester taxpayers were subsidizing Hooksett for quite some time. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Dr. Livingston? Okay. What is the wish of the board? Committee Member Van Houten.
Do we have another negotiation session already set up with them? I read the minutes, and I don't recall if there was a date
There
that was
is.
debated, and I don't know if there was one set. There is one set?
Yeah, October 29th at 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
So is the wish of the board that we don't move forward with, or that this proposal to Hooksett is null and void?
Vote on it.
I would move to amend it. I would move to amend, and we'll see if how the votes go, and maybe it will end up the way it is, but I'd move to amend the actual cost plus 10% or $12,000 plus 2%.
Shouldn't we vote on the original proposal first?
No.
You can vote the, well, here, I'll give you an answer, all right? Committee Member Terry, you can vote the amendment down, and then you'll have an opportunity to vote on the proposal that's before you.
Your Honor?
Committee Member Oak?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
You want me to repeat that? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
please.
My motion would be that we enter into a 5-year agreement from 2018 to 2023, capital cost of $171,786 per year. The tuition will be the actual cost plus 10% or $12,000 plus 2%, whichever is higher. No minimum or maximum number of students. Other terms of the agreement, such as notification dates, et cetera, would still apply.
Member Stewart.
Karen DeFrancis, this is a question for you. Can you please explain to me what actual costs are again, and is there a danger for trying to set them out this far in advance, or it doesn't matter?
Actual costs are based on the DOE 25 that we just actually presented tonight. So what happens in the current contract is that we give them an estimate in November for what the following year will be. Last year, we had estimated that that would be $8,500. Now that we've completed the DOE 25 for fiscal year 14, the actual costs are $9,600. So that $1,100 difference, we actually bill the sending towns for that. So their actual costs for regular education that come off of the DOE 25 report for high school expenditures.
And there's no way, if we're going by actual costs, if we're charging sending towns actual costs, that Manchester taxpayers will end up subsidizing sending town kids because we're not charging enough? Or is that still a risk?
Well, there are certain things that are not included in the actual costs. For instance, we don't pull in any debt service, so that line item doesn't get pulled into the equation. So not all costs are included in the current formula.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All set? We have a motion before us.
Who made the motion?
Was there a second to the motion?
Second was Committee Member Avard.
Thank you.
Which is this?
No, which is 12,000 and 2% or actual plus 10%, whichever is greater. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, because I'm not going to be able to tell with that one. Let's get a roll call.
Mayor Gatsas?
No.
Committee Member Ambrosi?
No.
Committee Member Langton?
Yes.
Committee Member Stewart?
No.
Committee Member Bradley?
Yes.
Committee Member Rokas?
Yes.
Committee Member Dunphy?
Yes.
Committee Member Wibby?
No.
Committee Member Staub?
Yes.
Committee Member Terrio?
No.
Committee Member Connors?
No.
Committee Member Beaudry?
Yes.
Committee Member Avard?
Yes.
Committee Member DeRocher?
No.
Committee Member Van Houten?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Superintendent's communications, any more? Do you have anything more to add?
Yes, I do. Thank you.